All right, we're going to start the next Mishnah. And I'm just going to tell you that I'm going to hope that today we're going to clarify some of the problems about using a mikveh that has a filter in it. And it's a complicated subject, but we're just going to discuss one of the subjects that are involved in that subject. So here we are, Zion Beis. We're going to start with Zion Beis. Elu paislim v'loy mailim. These passel, but don't kosherize. I guess I have a better word to say to explain that. Ben Tmei and Ben Tahirim. If you have mayim, which is shohub, doesn't make a difference whether it's kosher, tahor water, or it's tummy water. And how could that be? What does it mean? We'll discuss it in a minute. Mekvashim, meshlokas, hatemet. All of these things are waters that were used for different kinds of food processing. And because they had this food processing that they went through, so possibly they should lose their status of being water. And if they're not water, then they can't be mayim shuvim because they're not mayim. So then they can't passel the mikveh. Possibly they can't be mayim the mikveh either. But these aren't off enough to be called something else, so they're still water-like. We'll see the Taisus Yantif, what he has to say about that exactly. Ketzad poislim v'loy mailim. How does that happen? Mikvah sheyesh bo arboim sachos akortiv. You have a mikvah that's a drop under the minimum shear. V'nafol mehem kortiv l'saychai. And you have these waters fall into it. Loy mailim. It doesn't make it kosher because we don't see them as water. However, but it does passel it if you have gimologim. So the chumra we call it water, and the kula we don't. Let's say it like that. All right. Abo shar mashkin, but other kinds of mashkin, meiperos, tzir, morios, temet, shehichmet, all of these things, pamim mailim, upanim shenim mailim. Now the Mishnah is a little bit tricky over here in what it says, because the mailim and the eina mailim are not what we would have thought that they're going to meet. So you just have to hold your seatbelt for a minute. Ketzad, mikvah sheyesh bo arboim sochos arachas. You have a mikvah that's a little bit choser. V'nafel aseicha is sa'a mehem, and the sa'a of these liquids fall into them. Lo heluhu, it doesn't make it kosher. Why? It's a kosher cane. Umadach, the things in the first, the reisha, which were more water-like, are not good enough to kasher the mikvah. Kosher cane, these things don't kasher the mikvah. Hayu ba'arboim sa, if they had already arboim sa, v'notzan sa, v'notal sa, hareza kosher. If you had, now listen to this case, you had a mikvah of 40 sa. Exactly. Now you put in another saw of this stuff. So now you have a mikvah of 40 saw water, 1 saw non-water. And now you took out a saw. How much water do you have?
Less than 40.
Right. So you got that? You know I have less than 40?
Oh, yeah, you have exactly 40.
What?
You have exactly 40.
That's the mistake. Why is that? Because this other liquid and the water mixed together, right?
Right.
So when you take out a saw, you didn't take out of only that liquid. You took off 40th of that liquid and 39/40ths of a saw of water.
I disagree, because because there was 40 saw before they put in this liquid. So if you take out, so you can say he took out all of the regular water, even though it's mixed in.
You don't want to say that because then you make this puzzle. You mean you took out all of the stuff you just put in?
Yeah.
So
Right.
I just want to know who pays you to say which one you took out. You have a choice. You could say that you took out only that weird stuff, or you could say you took out only the water, or you could say the truth and say you took out 39 percent, not percent, 39
Parts.
of water and 1 part of the stuff. I'm not sure I understand that. I don't speak English so well, but you understand the issue. So, parents, what do you say?
Understand?
What do you understand?
Wait, no. What is the question?
If you took out a saw from this pool, what should halacha be?
When it had 41 in it already?
It had 40.
Yeah.
Then you put in 1 of this stuff.
And so it's 41.
That's 41.
41, but
41 what?
Yeah.
41 of mikveh water.
Wow, you could be a president. I have no idea what nobody said. I would have thought that it has 40 saw of mikveh water and 1 saw of junk.
Yeah, and it's 2/3 hydrogen and 1/3 oxygen. Okay, so if we're...
One second. I don't think that's even correct, because when you have hydrogen and oxygen that came together and created water, you don't have hydrogen and oxygen, you have water. That's called, if I'm not mistaken, in fancy English, that's called a chemical change, not a physical change.
Okay, so let's see, for all practical purposes, you can't take out the fruit juice either. You can't separate them now.
That's right. That's exactly the problem.
It's not on the chemical level, but it's on a practical level. You can't separate.
That's right. Let's skip this. Let's speak about something simple. You have 40 saw of water, and then you took tea leaves. No, that doesn't flow. That doesn't disperse well. You took a liter. You took a saw of salt, and you put it into the water, or sugar, and you put it into the water. So now the water level went up from 40 saw to 41 saw, and you took out a saw. How much water do you have left in the mikveh?
40 saw.
Now, I'm going to prove you wrong. Listen to this. I will boil up the water until there's no water left. And what will I have?
No water.
That's
Sugar.
interesting. Mamish could be a politician. Ask you, what do you have? And you say, well, you don't have. What do you have?
Probably have sugar.
Probably. You have a suffix? What did you drink? Today's not Purim. You will have you will have a saw of sugar.
It could have been dissolved. It could have been dissolved. The sugar could have been dissolved inside the water.
No, but you're distilling it. You're distilling the water out of it, so the sugar.
Excuse me. I would like to break for a news. I go onto the Chof of Eretz Yisrael, and I take in 41 saw of water. How much zephyr do I have?
We had a Mishnah like that. If there's some mud in the water.
I go to the Chof in Eretz Yisrael right now, and I take in of seawater. How much zephyr will I have?
Nothing.
You must be in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know exactly the answer to the question, but you definitely will have black hands. Let's put it that way, right? You're gonna, right? That's what's gonna happen, right?
You take rainwater and you do that, you'll also end up with a lot of things in it.
What will I end up with?
Well, you'll end up with dirt in it. You'll end up with you distill it out, you boil it out. You'll end up with a whole bunch of stuff in it.
But I don't know if that's true. Why do you say that? Well, I mean, I've never said. I don't know why you say that, but that's. Let me ask you a question. If it's totally in Shishim, it's totally in Sheish, it's totally in Roiv. What do I have to do? Sheffer, are you here with us? The question, you know what we're talking about? No. Okay.
No, it came late.
Okay. If you have a mikvah with 40 saw, and then you add into it different kinds of fruit juices, the halacha, the Mishnah says that if you take out now a saw from this mixture, your mikvah is still kosher. So I asked, does that make sense? That's like an apolitical way of saying what I asked. And I have a machlokes between Yechiel Kam-Frankel against Peretz Thyssen and Yisrael Halpern. That's basically where we stand right now. Okay? What do you say, Sheffer?
I say when you took out the saw, you absolutely took out the Mayperos. What's the question?
Only Mayperos or water also?
No, only Mayperos.
How are you such a gizani? How did you get to be so selective?
I remember we learned something like that in Trumos. This fell into this and this fell into this.
No. That's not what we learned. We learned something about Trumos. We said you could be Tyler and say that this one fell into that one, this one fell into that one. But we're not talking about when we know what happened. We know what happened.
You asked me what I thought. That's what I still think.
Okay. Hey, I'm a loser today. What can I say?
Should have asked someone else.
Okay. All I have to say is that just proves that you only go Basar Roiv as a B'chad and Wasser and says when there's a Makom Suffolk. When you're sure that you don't go Basar Roiv. It's obvious that when you mix them up and you have a homogeneous mixture and you take out stuff, you took out equal parts to the mixture. I would like
You're
to
saying Yesh Bila? You're saying Yesh Bila?
Of course I'm saying Yesh Bila. Of course you say Yesh Bila, obviously. I want to borrow this. I'm going to use Shoichad over here and get you all to be maskim to me. Listen carefully. I get asked this question about once in 2 weeks. A person has chicken soup, and somebody took a teaspoon of chicken soup and put it into a small pot with milchiga porridge being made. I get asked more or less this question all the time. And I say it's 100% kosher. How fleshig is your chicken soup? As a Jew, you should say 6 hours worth, right? That's how fleshig it is, right? That's how we measure it, right? If you have a quart of chicken soup and then I took out a half a quart and I poured it into milk, how much milk would I have had to pour it into in order for it to become batal b'shisha? You should say it's 30 quarts, right? Well, anybody want to answer?
Whatever 60 times that amount is. That's the only way that would be kosher.
That is 100% incorrect. And I'm going to tell you why. How do you make chicken soup?
Boiling
Chicken
chicken.
and water.
Oh, how much chicken to how much water?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't make chicken soup.
You also have a lot of spices in it.
Well, let's take that's two. How much? Let's say I have one piece of chicken to 10 pieces of volume of that of water, and that's how I make chicken soup. Let's say, okay. So
Yes,
how? What?
Yes, let's say. And what about the taste? Is there no taste in it at the end of the day?
Okay, listen. I don't know why I'm so agitated today. Next, listen. If I started off with one kizayis of chicken, and you people are telling me that it was Makayim Pruaravu, and I have 10 kizayisim of fleishiks. That's incredible.
It sounds like yeshiva soup.
The yeshiva soup just is a lumdish of fleishiks. That's it. This is not even that, right? This is, you started out, so the halacha is, if I took this chicken soup and I put it into milk, I only need, if I took a half a liter, so I figure out what percentage of that was, let's say it was 5, that was 1 kazayas of chicken to 5 kazaysim of water. We'll just use that, So I only need it to be, I only have to do a 20th of the half a liter. But I don't mind anybody arguing with me, but I just like to know that you understand me.
20%, yeah.
A fifth, 20%. A fifth, 20%.
Right. But you understand how I got there?
Yeah.
I take the chicken soup, the chicken, and I spread it out into the whole volume. Each unit will have a equal amount of chicken volume at best as anything else. So I can't have more than a piece of chicken.
But that would only be true if the chicken would disappear, and now all I have is soup. I still have that chicken sitting there. So it shrunk a little, whatever.
That's true, but I didn't discuss if the chicken fell in. I discussed if the soup fell in. In the soup, it definitely spreads homogeneously.
No, I understand, but I'm finding it should be even less.
That could be. That's a question. In the halacha, we don't say that for a different reason. But the question's a good question, but it was taken care of at the office. Just skip that question. It's not relevant for our discussion. But you can't get more chicken out of a chicken. So the halacha is you only need a shishim keneged the percentage of chicken that the chicken soup is comprised of. This is a great heter, if you want to call it that. It's not a heter. It's just that there was no isser. What do you call it? Whatever you want. It's a halachic device. Okay, Sheffer, do you understand what we're saying?
So far, yes.
Okay, fine. So now, if everybody's on board, Peretz, are you muttering or are you with me?
No, I need zoning.
Okay, fine. So now let's go back to where we are over here. We have over here 40 saw of water. We put in a saw of junk, and now I took out a saw. How much water is left in the mikveh? Hello?
I still say 40 saw.
So I'm asking you, so if I would take apart that saw of water that I took out, what will I find in it?
You'll find a mixture of that, the junk. I'm sure you'll find a mixture of the junk.
And also water.
And also water, right.
So that means that some of the pure water was taken out, right?
Yes.
So
some of the junk was taken out.
What?
And some of the junk was taken out.
Right. But all I need is one drop of water to be taken out, and then I don't have 40 saw of water.
We say no Saint Tom by mikvah.
I didn't call myself saying one word about Tom.
No, but you're comparing it to a no Saint Tom issue of no Saint Tom.
No, I add this has nothing to do with no Saint Tom. That has to do with it was just a mashal l'saberes ha'oizen. It was shoichad. This was just I said the same thing you could do it with. I could prove it to you. If I would take sugar and I would or salt and put it in, and now take out a saw of water and boil it, and boil the other stuff, and you would see it's the exact same thing. It dispersed evenly throughout the mixture. Nothing to do with Tom. I didn't say anything about Tom. We'll say something about Tom later, but not now, not yet.
The main reason why I would say that it's still 40 saw is that it started off 40 saw, then it adds some junk, and even adding the junk, it's still a kosher mikvah. So now, once it's classified as a kosher mikvah, therefore then if you take out another saw, so you still have 40 saw in there. I know that maybe there's a little of that junk inside there, but even when the junk was in there, it still was good.
Okay.
So therefore it stays that status. It stays in the status of kosher.
Okay, I want to tell you something. I'm not going to argue with you because you're right, but I don't understand what you're talking about. Now I'm going to explain to you something. You can't, you can't make something into something that it's not. If I threw in pebbles, would we say the same thing?
Pebbles is not water. Pebbles is not.
1 second. If this would be water, then it wouldn't have the halacha that we just said.
It's a liquid, though. When you put in a liquid, this junk that you put in is a liquid, isn't it? It's a liquid. So therefore, then it's a liquid. It liquefies.
Okay. So you're getting warmer and warmer. So you're saying that it's not always like that. Being that it's a liquid, and according to you would say any liquid, this halacha would be true. Now we're going to find out if that's true, but you didn't say the svara behind what you're saying. You just said a plan. This is a game plan, which is fine, but this has to be explained.
There's no such concept here of bittul.
So I'm going to remind you of the basic concept of bittul. Bittul can take off a negative. Bittul does not give you a positive. In other words, I'll use the case of Shimon Shkop. This uses. I usually every time try to pick a different mashal. If a person has 3 korban pesachs, one was shechted shaloi lishma, and he mixed them in. He doesn't know which one is which. So the halacha is that it's batul b'roiv. So can one be makayim the mitzvah of achilas pesach when he eats that behemoth? So the Gemara says that you cannot. Why? As Shimon Shkop says, because bittul can only take off a negative. It can't give you a positive. This question is written up in the Binyan Tzia, and is written up in the Einig Yantif. This is very common in many shuls. This happens on Simchas Torah. So I'm right now screaming at all the people, Abba Shalom, don't be wise, guys. In a lot of shuls, Simchas Torah, in the olden times, if you had a puzzle Sefer Torah, you took the gartel, you put it on the outside. That was the siman. And then it came to Simchas Torah. So Simchas Torah, they always put these garbage bags. They take off the mantle, put the garbage bag on, and then they close it back up again so that the Sefer Torah doesn't get puzzled from people sweating when they're carrying it. So they had over here one Sefer Torah that was puzzled, and they took off the gartel and put on all the Sefer Torah and put them on, and now they put on they didn't remember which one did they have to put the gartel back on. What are you laughing about? You're laughing because you're not a gabbai. If you'd be a gabbai, you wouldn't be laughing. Okay? So they come to the Rav. So the Rav says, it's batul b'roiv. Can we do that? And we can learn out of all three svarim? You like the question, so?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, most poskim say you cannot.
Sefer Torah is not batal.
That's
So
one of them. That's one of them. But the Toys is what has to be batal, and that, according to some, is not chashuv. You don't have to be batal to Sefer Torah. But that's, in the subject, that's one of the very important components which is discussed. But the thing which is discussed is that even if something is batal b'roiv, all it can do is take off its negative.
So with the Korban Pesach, what negative did it take off?
What?
What negative was removed with the Korban Pesach?
You can make it shaloi l'shma. They take off the shaloi l'shma, but it can't make it l'shma.
What do you mean? What did it make it?
Neutral.
What's neutral?
If you want to know, if we'd be learning
neutral is
Zvachim, if we'd be learning Zvachim, Daf Beis Amud Aleph, so we teach you the Briskerov that says that Machshava Shaloi Lishma is a Machshava Paiseles. The stoma is always Lishma, and there's a Machshava Paiseles. And then
that's a different thing. That's an umdana, but
that's a Briskerov didn't say it's an umdana.
Doesn't the Gemara say it's an umdana or it's a takana or whatever?
No, it's not. It's not even so clear that it's true. Many Acharonim disagree with the Briskerov. But anyways, I'm just trying to give you an example. I'm not really getting involved in this whole thing. That this is the question: how can, if we label this thing as not water, how can we say that it's batul and it became water?
But we don't say it's batul.
You're gonna say that what?
A mikvah, it's not bitul. A mikvah of 40 sa, you can put 80 sa in there, and they also become kosher.
That's wonderful.
That's not bitul.
That's wonderful. But you put 80 sa of what in it?
Shuvim.
So what did you do? You were machsher the shuvim.
Yeah.
You can't be machsher. You can't be machsher sugar to make it into water.
But fruit juice you can.
Puzzle water you can make unpuzzle water.
But fruit juice you could be machsher. You can't be machsher a salad.
Where do you know that from?
From this Mishnah.
You know, this is called circular logic. Mamish.
I'm all for it.
What? Okay.
I'm all for it.
Okay. Fine. All right. Listen. Let's start again. Could I be machsher other things also? Where's the limit? What could I be machsher? Fruit juice, yes. And what? No.
Sugar.
Why? What's the difference?
Sugar is a solid.
But we don't see it as a solid in the mikveh.
We see it as a solid when you pour it.
Wine you could also do, or just make payers.
Wine, if it's white wine, you could do it.
Okay, I don't know how you know that. Let's see what the Mishnah says, and we'll see if it discusses wine. Meperos hatzir v'amorsis v'atemet shehichmitz pom emayim pom sheino maylin. Does it say yayin over there? Does it say shemen over there?
Okay, that's in the next Mishnah. Okay, whatever.
Why?
Why? Because then we have another factor to take into account: color. This is not talking about color here.
No, we're talking about white wine, because those are not waters. These are meperos. These are waters that are tainted. They're more water-like than wine. Halachically, not physically, not liquid versus solid, but halachically, in what's called a water.
You're saying white wine would not apply here?
It said this. It's for sure not simple that it will apply here. No. As far as the pashas, it's not so simple that it can apply here. But this is okay. I don't know. I think maybe we'll just stop over here because we didn't really get into the Mishnah yet. But the subject which we're going to learn is about this idea. I'll do one more thing over here. There's a halacha it's a Mishnah Toivul be'eno shel dag. You're allowed to toivul inside anything kol ha'shabah briyasa min hamayim toivul b'kamayim, which you learned about melach, sea salt, that you could toivul in it because we see it as water, and the fish is made out of water, and you could toivul in it. So here the Yochin asks a question in our Mishnah, which is, I would call it a maddening question. I would have never asked the question, but now that it was asked, I'm forced to deal with it. He says, Murios is you take fish and you make it into like a brine. I don't know exactly, like pickled herring, I don't know what it is exactly, something like that. So it was water, and now the water got, we call it, contaminated with fish. So the Yochid says, who cares? Fish is good and water is good. So good and good equals great. Why is it possible to toivul in to be mashlim a mikvah with this stuff? That's his question. Okay, that's the question, and there are a few answers given to this question. That's really the few answers that are given to this question. The Daiti, I would like to venture to answer my own answer to the question. I'll say Taisus Yantiv. I'll say his answer, and as far as I'm concerned, his answer needs explanation. Possibly, where I'm going and where he's going is the same place. He brings a raya that when you have water and salt together, you have a new item, and you can't be part of Ma'aser Sheni in it, and therefore it's not called water for mikvahs also. So whoever is satisfied with that answer, good for you. I myself find that answer puzzling. It needs to have some kind of an explanation. But my answer is that those things that are created from water, as long as they're in their natural state, we see their connection. They're not water. A fish is not water, period. But being it's in its natural habitat, we allow it to be water-like. When we're going to tamper with it, change it, mix it with other things, so then it loses its Tudat Zehut, because it's not really water. So I don't know if the question is really such a good question. But that's my answer to this question. All right, I guess we'll stop over here. Everybody have a Freilich and Purim. As of right now, no. It has to be that when you're sober, you know the difference. Just when you're drunk, you don't. But something that you can't know the difference either time, it doesn't help. Right? Anyways, I'm planning as of right now to be saying Shir Mirz Hashem next Sunday night, though I'm going to be in Yerushalayim. But I'm still planning on. Hopefully, it'll work out.
So wait, if you're here through Shabbos, do you have a din of Suda on Sunday?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And not only that, I have what you call them social obligations or rabbinical obligations that I have here in Yerushalayim that I have to attend to. It's not it's not a real party day for me, as I say. But I'm planning a Mitzvah Shem to say Mashir. Just
so wait, if someone goes through Yerushalayim for Shabbos, then they do have the Chiyuv Suda on Sunday?
Oh yeah.
Even if they had the Suda on Friday before they went?
Even if they had a Friday. Just like a regular year.
Or regular year. Okay, regular year it's...
But regular year...
It comes from Shabbos and it's Nidcha to Sunday? Is that how it works? Because if you go Motzei Shabbos...
If you're a Motzei Shabbos, you missed the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
so the Chiyuv Suda is a Nidcha. It's a Nidcha from
what?
The Chiyuv Suda is like a Nidcha from Shabbos.
Correct. correct. Yeah. Yeah, and that's because there's a Yerushalmi that says you have to make a special Sudas Purim, and being on Shabbos, you have to have a Sudas Shabbos, so that eclipses it from being a day that's free for Sudas Purim.
Wow.
And for some reason, the Shalach Manis goes together with the Suda more than the Matanas of Yonim, because the Matanas of Yonim goes together with Mikvah Megillah. So Friday, you do the Megillah and Matanas of Yonim. No Al Hanisim. Shabbos, you do the Shabbos, you do Be'etzem Al Hanisim and nothing else. And on Sunday, you do the Suda and
Mishloach Manos.
Wow.
But there are those who try to somehow work out Mishloach Manos on Shabbos also, right?
And there are those who say to do it on Friday also. Somebody asked me how come I didn't say a shir in Avos Shalom on Avos Shalom on Purim Mishulish. So I said, because as far as I know, Avos Shalom isn't in Yerushalayim, unless you guys moving, so I didn't say a shir on it. But if you move, I have a lot to say on this subject. Okay. All right.
Are you having the shir on Tuesday night?
This Tuesday night?
Yeah.
Mitzvah.
Okay.
I heard of talk from Moshe once that a woman had like an infection on her face and she wasn't able to go to the mikvah. So they found a place in Baltimore makes shark skin things, masks. So she was able to wear a shark skin mask.
Yeah, that's true, but that's unadulterated. That's true. Not only that, for ladies that have ear infections, some mikvahs they give them oil from fish to put into their ear, and that's like doche mayim. But they stopped doing it. I spoke to one of the balaniot to ask why they stopped doing it, and she gave me a very good reason. Sometimes you can't argue with these reasons. She says it stinks. It stinks, and even after they clean the mikveh afterwards, it doesn't get rid of it. Doesn't get rid of the smell. So the ladies have to go to the mikveh afterwards are grossed out. Yeah. So that became
the husbands would be also.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. So I guess we could send them to the oil spill in the Yam. That would take care of the problem.
Wow.
But that's whatever. That's not a halachic issue. That's a practical issue. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.